Are they tasty? Are they good? Yeah.
They're delicious.
I have two on today. So I have this one that I just got from Miss Betty for Women's History Month. Every day is a Women's Day. I think that's going to tie into my speech today. But I also have one that I made many moons ago now for my campaign. And it says motivated, prepared, invested. And I wore this for years and years and still put it on. And those words, motivated, prepared, and invested, I think just still ring true to as a daily reminder. So the title of my speech today is Lead and Inspire, how every woman or man, how everyone, but we're going to focus on women today for Women's History Month, can spark change. And first I want to thank the Colonial Beach Museum and the Historical Society, all the volunteers that it takes to put these events on and the many other things that they do to preserve our history here in Colonial Beach. I know it takes a village, and we have a strong village here in Colonial Beach. And thank you all for attending today. So we're going to honor women's history. We're going to talk about the impact of some of the women of Colonial Beach, how they've impacted me to make history in becoming the first female mayor of the town of Colonial Beach. And I'm going to tell a little bit about my story and maybe some of the things you didn't know about how it happened. First off, I'd just like to say that this day could not be possible without my mother. And coffee. We're going to reflect on some questions. So I want you to be thinking about these as I'm talking. One of the first things that I thought of when I was asked to speak here today was, how did I make history? How do you make history? And maybe more importantly, how do we make history? And so in thinking that through, I came up with 8.5 steps. 8.5 steps. And so we're going to go through those. So the first step is that I truly, when I'm thinking like, how do you make history? I don't think that I knew I was setting out to make history. There was no expectation of that, right? The journey didn't start with, I'm going to be the first female mayor of Colonial Beach. There just were things along my path that led into that, right? And so I don't think you go about it and leave this room and say, I'm going to make history because that's the purpose, because that's not the purpose. The purpose will be whatever is calling to you in your life. And so I think, you don't necessarily think about it in that way. And I think people like Rosa Parks didn't think about, I'm going to make history when I don't get up from my seat. I think she just didn't want to get up from her seat, right? And so there are maybe small choices we're making in that way. But to bring it to Colonial Beach, I don't think Frances Carr knew she was going to make history. And now we have a boardwalk named after her. Or Patrice Leiber was going to make history, and now she's the longest serving Black member of our school board. Or Ola and Virginia Gregg, who ran a 50-year diner in Colonial Beach, 7 days a week, only closed for Christmas. I don't know that any of those women knew they were going to make history, right? But they were. I certainly did not know I was going to make history. When I was asked to join the Planning Commission, I was 23. I was, at that time, the youngest person that had served on our Planning Commission. But because of that, not just my history, we then nominated Fletcher Lee, who was 18, to serve on the Planning Commission. And it is a catalyst, right? And so, a younger leadership getting involved in things like that. I think sometimes we break the glass, we don't know what's to follow next, right? There's not always an expectation about it. Number 2, it requires passion and emotion. The most impactful things that I have done have been fueled by anger and by excitement, by love, and just a full energy towards it, right? And so you've got to have that. What makes you passionate? What emotions are there? And we have some really great examples in Colonial Beach history of women who have passion and emotion that have fueled impact. People like Joyce Reimer, people like Mitzi Sappos, people like Diane Pearson. And those women have all impacted Colonial Beach through passion and emotion. What fuel and passion do you have, right? And how is that going to inspire you? And for me, I had a passion for my community. I had a passion of change in my community. I had been through living in Colonial Beach during its economic downtime of growing up here when none of the awesome things on the boardwalk existed anymore, and it was deteriorated and run down and not revitalizing and not getting to the next step. And I saw it could be more than that. It could be visionary. I'd heard all these stories from all of these other people I grew up with about how great that had been. But that's not the Colonial Beach that I grew up in. The Colonial Beach I grew up in was one that had complete economic strife and resulted in a lot of other problems in town because of that. And that fueled me and my passion. Sometimes that made me angry. And sometimes that filled me with love for what I do. And sometimes you just think you need to tap in to like your inner emotion, right? My next step is to start with the small things. People like Mercedes Pierce, younger than me, is a published author in Colonial Beach. Jaden McGinnis, who has recorded records, again, younger than me, I think at the age of 14, recorded her first solo on the radio. People like Brittany Jones and her daughter Harmony, who can't be more than 12, I think, who have started both their own businesses in town. Start with the small steps. My path in leadership didn't start at, like I said, having the goal to be mayor or anything. I think the very first passion project I had here was the community garden. And I'll just tell you that I can't garden, like at all. Everything I touch, it's bad. So, but I knew how to work with the government because I had been trained in the Peace Corps and in how to develop within the framework of a government, how to interact with the government, how to work in policy. And the people who were these passionate gardeners who could make things grow and be beautiful didn't have that skill set, right? And so I saw their passion and love and I said, I can't do what you can do, but I can help you do this, right, and organize. That community garden project was an eye-opener because when I first approached the town council at the time, I got a lot of pushback that sort of surprised me. I kind of thought everybody would like a community garden, and I don't really see the downside, guys, you know? I got told that there would be pigs in the road, that we'd be growing weed, that the corn stalks would block people's view of the water. I mean, just things that were just like outlandish, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know if you know what a community garden is. Like, let's pack that up and have these conversations one-on-one with each of the council members and with other community members that had these sort of fears about like what a community garden does. Now the community garden is celebrating 15 years, I think. I'll be honest with you, I don't grow anything down there. I told them I need like one of those Zen gardens with the rock, and I just stand on it, and I rake the rock, you know, because it's not gonna grow plants. But you know, that was a small step. That was a small step. But that garden is still here today. It is still growing, and it's growing new membership. I'm not even, you know, a part of that. That has grown its own legs. It is walking on its own, and I'm so proud of them and the people that do that. But you know, I used a skill set to help and partner with them on that. The next step You know, and you don't think this is a step to be mayor, but I think it was Save the Bay Day with Mitzi. And we just both had a passion for a clean environment and the physicality of making a difference yourself, and that we believed we could make a difference by picking up trash and getting other people to pick up trash. And we couldn't kind of believe that this wasn't already happening, right? And we started Save the Bay Day. We were just talking, I don't even know how many years, 13, 14 years ago now.
I think this will be 14.
We think it's
and
14.
And we missed a year because of COVID.
We did miss a year from COVID. Yeah. We still did cleanup stuff, but not like the organized one. And that Save the Bay Day is just, it's reflective of everything that I love about Colonial Beach, you know? The water, the wildlife, getting people together, you know, being hand in hand, helping one another. It's more than just the trash bags, but the trash bags help too. Because if that didn't happen, Save the Bay Days, the weekend before Potomac River Festival, I feel like we all do a part to making our community look its best to show off for everyone when we invite them, you know, in for Potomac River Festival. Another small step, I don't know that it, you know, again, these weren't like, oh, I'm gonna be mayor, like I'm gonna do Save the Bay Day because I'm gonna be mayor or something like that. It was not in my head at all. But the next step was Dog Day. And Dog Day started
2010 or 2011?
2010 or 2011. And I love dogs, but I'm not the dog like guru by any means. But I could just help be the organizer, help be the facilitator in that. And that was set up with a dear friend from the marina, and she had a passion for dogs, you know. And then it got more people involved that had passion for dogs, and that's still going on its own.
First Saturday in May.
First Saturday in May. Then the steps started to get kind of like bigger, right? These like little steps started to get bigger. I think the next big step was Torrey Smith Park. And I don't take credit for that. I think there's a lot of people that were way above me in taking credit for Torrey Smith Park. But Torrey Smith Park also needed help in getting across the finish line. It needed help in the design of the park. It needed help in fundraising and marketing for fundraising. It needed the government at the time to support it and to get it there. And I had just been elected to council during that. And that's one that, you know, it's also just this lasting impact, right? But it's small steps. Those are all, though, examples of collaboration, and that's step 4. You have to have other people. You can't do it on your own. I don't do it on my own. I'm not making on my own, you know? And your passion, right, going back to that, inspires other people with passion. And that's how things get done, right? And when I think of collaboration, I think of passion and passionate people in Colonial Beach. I think of people like Susie Mack, Jan Swink, Pat Fitzgerald. You know, these women in Colonial Beach have made huge impacts, from downtown Colonial Beach to the holiday celebrations, you know, that Jan works with that whole group on, and Pat Fitzgerald with our rescue squad. That takes collaboration, it takes working with others, it takes your passion being infectious, right, around you. And for me, I think when I decided I said, okay, yes, I'll run for mayor. When that was happening in my life, after all these other things that sort of built to that, I wanted to do it differently. Sometimes that still rubs people wrong. But I really wanted to share the load of mayor. Not to say I still don't take on too much, because I do. But I feel really strongly about these council liaison positions, because I need the whole council to work for the town. I can't have it just all on me. Part of that is because I'm really busy, right? And as women, we stay busy, right? But 2 is that that's how you create this collaboration, right? You delegate. you share that with other people. And I had a vision for a new management style. I had a vision for that. And it ties into our council manager form of government and how I believe government should function. But it's really about saying that each person's voice at the table needs to be there, and that then gives them validity, but it also makes them a part of the solution and the problem, right? And you gotta share that, you gotta work with others, but other people have talents, right? They have so much talent, and you gotta tap into that for them too. So I wanna give a little shout out to some people I worked on council with, Karen Self-Sullivan, Andrea Clement, Vicki Robertson, Krista Brown, currently serving with Maggie Sanford and Lisa Grandstaff. And there's several former women council members that came before me too, that helped lay the groundwork for women in government here in Colonial Beach. And I think they all kind of helped break that ceiling a little bit. Step 5 is take the losses. It's okay to lose. Don't let that get you down. Part of that is about staying determined through strife, through challenge, through leadership. People like Betty Whitestone, like Emily Hall, and like Maureen McCain. And those women, to me, are women that are in the arena. There was a famous speech by Theodore Roosevelt, and it's actually titled Men in the Arena. But Maureen McCabe, who served on the Planning Commission with me all those years ago and was the chair before and after me, she gave me this plaque when I entered the Planning Commission. I'm going to read it to you because it's over here. And she's the one who introduced me to this speech by Theodore Roosevelt. And so she changed the word man to woman in the speech. It's supposed to say man, but she did this. She's so inventive. And so the speech reads like this, and this is just a part of it. It is not the critic who counts, not the one who points out how strong a woman stumbled or how the doer of deeds might have done them better. The credit belongs to the woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred with sweat and dust and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, who knows the greatest enthusiasms, the greatest devotions, and spends herself in a worthy cause, who, if she wins, knows the triumph of high achievement, and who, if she fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that her place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Theodore Roosevelt, except with Maureen's changes. And I love that. When she gave that to me, I was like, what do you, like, I was a little confused by it. I was like, so I fail a lot? Is that what you're saying to me, Maureen? I'm not sure, right? But I've come to just absolutely appreciate failure. Absolutely appreciate the loss. It is a step to learn from, to grow from. It's also going to happen. And so if you expect it not to, and let that devastate you and get in the way of this passion that you have for change, of how you're going to spark change or how you're going to be a part of something, if you let that deflate you, then they've won, right? And so you just got to be in the arena. Sometimes that means getting beat up. Sometimes as mayor, I feel that no matter how much good I try, the more good I do, the bigger target on my back I am. And yet, I am still moving forward. And I think that's okay. You've got to be okay with that, right? Number 6 is listen. And it's not just listen, like right now you guys are listening and I appreciate that, and not being like interruptive and just, distracting, but it is about hearing other perspectives and other people. And there are some people in Colonial Beach that really have inspired me listening. Patty Catlett, who's not with us anymore, Mary Diatley, Jackie Shin, Joyce Coates, the Remember When books, all the documentation of our history, the things that the Historical Society does for us too. This listening to people's stories, listening to their perspectives with an open mind is truly important. And sometimes we can be very, very passionate and very, very excited and not sit back and listen. And I have learned how important listening is time and time again. When you're running a meeting and everybody is super pissed about the wastewater treatment plant overflowing, it's very tense, you're upset about it too, everybody should be upset about it, but you gotta sit and listen and give everybody an opportunity. And that is how, through a lot of very difficult things, time and time again, we've been able to get past some of the hardest conflicts. I remember the Eleanor Park public hearing. Man, that topic was 12 years of Colonial Beach conflict and grief. We couldn't do so many other things because of conflict and grief over that one topic, which people used and manipulated and used against each other and all kinds of things. And I said, no. I remember in that meeting where we're gonna have this big public hearing, this is gonna be the final step, one way or the other, however it goes, open-minded, pros and cons, everything's out there, and the room was packed. And I mean packed, out the door packed, right? And I started that meeting off, and this was some inspiration for the topic. I started that meeting off, and I stood not at the podium in the back where my microphone is and all that kind of stuff. I came out front, and you can tell everybody's tense and doesn't know what to do. And I just said, okay, everybody, 2 ears, 1 mouth. We are gonna be here as long as it takes to listen to every single one of these people. And we're gonna do it organized, we're gonna stay on track, and we're gonna be respectful. You're gonna line up in 2 lines, we're gonna go 1 on this side, 1 on this side, and we're gonna keep going all the way through, and we did that. And I think in the end, and we had like a tally of, some of the council members were kind of tallying where the perspectives were going. We got to hear a robust amount of discussion in that, and ideas and input and people's, interests. But then it was clear, the answer was clear, because we had had a chance to listen to everyone. Now that didn't get everybody what they wanted, right? Got me a bigger target on my back. But it did, I do think that people were there at that meeting, even the ones who didn't get what they wanted out of it, really felt like, yes, we had listened to everybody, And that mattered to them. That mattered to them. It mattered to them because it helped people accept change. It helped people accept the next step, right? This takes practice, I'll be honest with you. I still work on listening. I still have to do that all the time. And one of the things that helps me listen though is to remind myself to be kind. And I have never, ever regretted being kind. And so I just sometimes because you want to react sometimes instead of listening, just think, you know what? I could do something I regret, but if I'm kind, I will never regret that. And that helps keep me on track. Number 7 is adapt. Adapting in Colonial Beach is, those two things are just synonymous with one another. Colonial Beach is this ever changing adaptation, whether it's the seasons, or the tides, or our economy, or our history. We pivot, we find a new path. There are some women in Colonial Beach that I have seen adapt in ways that are just absolutely surprising to me. Katie Stack, the owner of our gym in town, youngest, I think, business owner of a gym I've ever seen. Kelly Vaughn has adapted, and I think continues to adapt. I mean, if you've seen her videos online, she's an inspiration, to be honest with you. And people like Scotty Lunsford and Mary Virginia Stanford, women who ran marinas here in town. You know, hurricane after hurricane after hurricane, adapted. And so I think being adaptive, being resilient is all a part of that. In Colonial Beach, we've been through, right when I was elected mayor, I ran during COVID, where you couldn't touch and get people together and all that kind of stuff. And then dealing with COVID as a very new elected official, storms, king tides, the wastewater treatment plant, elections changing everybody I'm working with all the time, new staff changing everybody I'm working with all the time. Those are all why you have to stay dynamic. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. You ever heard that? Mike Tyson. And I think it's good to have a plan. I think plans are important and all of that, but you've got to still stay nimble enough to adapt. And personally, for me, adapting as a leader in this kind of story of history was that I had a kid while I was the vice mayor. I got pregnant right after I was elected. Didn't know I was pregnant while I was campaigning. Then had a kid. I was breastfeeding in council meetings. I would go out, pump, and come back. And then had, basically a 1.5-year-old and decided that I wanted to take the next step. I think my son gave me a lot more passion to take the next step because of the next generation and just feeling so drawn to being there to make an impact for it. But that was a huge adaptation. And so you've gotta kind of roll with it. I said I had 8.5 steps. This is step 8. And so I think it's a really important step. The last step in, of the 8.5 at 8 is to believe in yourself, to believe in others. It's about faith. Time and time again, the strongest leaders around me and the ones I look up to are ones that have a very strong faith, that believe. And when I think about strong leaders in our community, I think about Margie Staples, I think about Arbutus Stanford. Arbutus, if you have never seen Arbutus give a prayer at the fire department, that woman will amaze you. You feel like you're gonna come to Jesus after she talks. But also people like Suzanne Tolson, who was the superintendent when I was in high school here. And Gwen Chatham, who committed over 60, I think years, 50 something years as our clerk of court in Westmoreland County. But most of all, my grandmother, May Mills, who I just admired her faith in everything. I still have little notes that she has written on little cards that I stuck in pockets of things. I had one in one of my suit jackets, and I forgot about it, and I was given a speech. This was a couple years ago, and it was at a time where Colonial Beach had a lot of heated debate happening, and I pulled that out, and she just had a Bible verse on it, and it was in her handwriting, and I said, I'm gonna have faith. I'm gonna have faith. I will tell you, when I was a kid, growing up here in Colonial Beach, our family went through a really devastating fire at the marina, changed my life. After that, we went through Hurricane Isabel, which changed everyone's life. And my mother repeated 2 quotes all the time. And I'm sure you remember them. This too shall pass, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. At the time, those 2 quotes, I was mad. I was mad. I was mad at the Lord. I was mad at life. I was mad at all of these terrible things that had happened to us. I was mad, so I couldn't quite understand why my mother kept saying, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I was really, I had struggled with that. But she kept saying it. And and it took me a while to understand the power in that. But it is so powerful. And And vision requires faith. And so, you know, if you're gonna make history, which maybe you don't expect to do, I think faith and belief in yourself and in others, it gives you gratitude, right, in your life. And that gratitude fuels everything else, because if you can be grateful, then you can have a positive outlook about where this is going, even when you hit the tough times, even when you fail, even when you lose. Is it easy to hope? Is it easy for you to hope? I think people that have a lot of faith, it is easy to hope. I think that helps give you hope. I hope makes that easier. I remember when we worked on the vision for Colonial Beach, the vision statement for Colonial Beach was like a whole group of people. It was way before I was mayor. So proud to be a part of that. Colonial Beach is a historical, attractive beach town committed to arts, business, family, and a like healthy environment, right? Like I forget the exact slogan now, but it's got all these key words in it that are super visionary about how we're going to be healthy and how we're going to, you know, operate as a town. And I think to have that vision and stay directed to that vision requires faith, and it requires a lot of gratitude. And I'm very, very grateful for all of the things that I've been through, even the tough times, even some of the things we're going through right now. You know, there's the Serenity Prayer. I kind of come back to that too a lot as a leader and as a woman. And so it says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That wisdom part of knowing the difference, that's hard, right? But I just say that when I know I'm about to have a really hard moment, when I'm about to do something that's gonna take that kind of power and strength, right? I say that Serenity Prayer to myself a lot, and that's really helped. And I think that faith and that build that foundation of faith and believing in yourself is really important. So the half step, what's the half step? 8.5 steps. The half step is laughter. You guys, we gotta laugh. We gotta laugh at ourselves. I do this silly stuff all the time. I'm always making mistakes. I'm always forgetting to thank somebody right in the middle of like a big speech. I'm always leaving somebody out I didn't mean to, and then I'm embarrassed about it. I mean, I gotta laugh. I gotta laugh at myself. I did a comedy hour actually, believe it or not. I really did. At the brewery.
You did.
For Walter Kern. And so I have like a personal goal to be a stand-up comedian one day. And I feel like I have to wait until I'm not the mayor. Do I have to wait? I'm wondering, like let me know, because my email account is bipolar. And I really think like it goes up and down, and I hate you, and you're doing a great job, and we don't know, we want this, we don't want this. Whew. All right. There's a lot of comedy in my email, I will just tell you. But we gotta laugh at ourselves, because that's how we love ourselves, right? And we gotta laugh with one another, and I just don't want you to forget that. So I'm gonna go back quickly through my 8.5 steps of women leadership in Colonial Beach, and I want you to think about all the women here in Colonial Beach that have touched your lives, women who, you know they do these steps, right? Whether they put it out or think about it or not. One, we don't expect it. We don't expect anything in return for it either. By the way, I'm paid less than like $150 a month or something to be the mayor. It's not my full-time job. But don't do it because you expect it, right? Don't expect it. 2 is have a passion. Get angry. Love deeply. You know? Those things, those passions, they're important. Have emotion, tie into that. You know, especially as women, right? I think sometimes we're kind of told to steer away from our emotion or to downplay it. Have it, embrace it, love it. 3 is take some small steps. You don't gotta leap across the whole ocean, you know? Just take some small steps. 4 is work together. Work with people in this room, work with other people outside this room, work with people who don't have your skill set. Maybe you've got one, you know, you've got something they don't, they got something you don't. Collaborate. 5 is take the losses. Be the woman in the arena with the scratches and the blood and the sweat and the tears. Be that person. It's okay. It's okay. 6 is listen. Listen to one another with real open ears. Really listen. 7 is adapt and change. Maybe just wear something new tomorrow, just for the fun of it, just to see what happens. Who knows what new path might happen out of that, right? And 8 is believe. Believe and have faith. I'm wearing my hat. This is the hat I wore when I first was elected on town council. I wore it for my grandmother then, I wear it for my grandmother now. Have faith and believe in yourself, believe in each other. Keep believing in me. I need that too. And the half step, if you don't laugh, you're gonna hate it. So you better find a way to laugh through all of it and make jokes and have fun and don't forget it. I just wanna remind you guys that my story is everyone's story. It's not just mine. It's everybody here, it's everybody who's had a part in this. It's all of Colonial Beach's story because I'm from here and it was built on the steps that all these other women have taken and all the commitment that they've done. If I can do it, you can do it. You can spark change. You can do things. You are doing things. So many women in our community. This is not just like history from then, but it's history we're making now. We're making Colonial Beach history now. So I want to leave you with what will you do to make Colonial Beach history? You're gonna find your passion, you're gonna find your skill set, you're gonna stay determined, but better or not, what will we do together to make Colonial Beach history? As we are with getting our downtown Colonial Beach recognized as a Virginia Main Street program, as we are with completely overhauling our infrastructure and capital needs in the town to prepare for the future, as we are with educating our children from pre-K to 12th grade here in this tight-knit community, as we are with building a T-ball field right out here at the community center for our kids to be outside and play and get them outdoors and let them live, you know, and enjoy that. How will we together do it? So that's my speech for today. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.